Welcome to Phillip Island, Victoria in Australia. What a setting we have for this great sporting contest, the Little Penguin Sea to Dune race. Nervous moments always as they gather on the beach, the tension mounting, and away they go. There's the defending champion, wearing his familiar navy blue and white, great waddling style. Another pre-race favourite though, losing touch with the pack. Maybe that's why. A few too many fish in the day's feeding. There's a familiar face, Skip McIntyre, 8 times a champion back in the 90s, a very successful coach now, keeping a keen eye on proceedings. This the leading group, 1 or 2 still able to put on a show for the camera, others just ploughing straight over it. Some resorting to shortcuts. Sad that cheating has crept into this beautiful sport. The judges will have a look at that. But up at the front, the pace is relentless, closing in on those sand dunes that will offer a bed for the night. The fatigue starting to tell. Who's got the finishing kick up on the outside? What a turn of pace from that one, whichever one it is. No answer from the rest, and he takes victory. What a win. There we are, into the Burrow, building an extension with his winnings, and back tomorrow to try and defend his title here on Phillip Island.
And welcome to another night of live Penguin TV. Super happy to be able to bring the Penguins to you wherever you may be watching from this evening, this morning, this afternoon, depending on where you are in the world. So we are here on Phillip Island waiting for it to get dark enough that our little penguins who are hanging out in the ocean at the moment, we're waiting for them to realize that it's dark enough that they can cross this tiny little open sandy beach and get back to their burrows here on Phillip Island into the largest of the little penguin colonies in the world. We are 32,000 strong here for the little penguins. And tonight, I noticed that before you come on in, there's been quite a few people guessing who was going to be working on the live stream tonight. So the person who's going to be helping me tonight is... It's me! It's Viv! What are you going to be doing tonight, Viv?
What am I going to be doing? Well, I'm going to push Jordan out of the... No, okay. No, please. Anyway, I'm going to be looking at your questions on Facebook and YouTube and hopefully throwing some really fun ones to Jordan. If we can get her stumped, I'll be really happy today.
Not too hard.
No, very hard. As hard as you can, please. Who do you want to please, me or Jordan?
Me.
Anyway, put in your guesses for how many penguins came in last night. I'll give you a hint. It was a doozy of a night, and I'll let you know in a few minutes. Thanks,
Beautiful.
guys.
Beautiful. So get your guesses in, everybody, for how many penguins you think crossed the beach last night. So every single night here at the Penguin Parade, we are counting penguins crossing the beach for 50 minutes, 50 minutes. And at the end of 50 minutes, we get a grand total of how many penguins cross the beach. There are quite a few different pathways along this beach that our poor penguin counters have to count tonight. Now, I believe our main counter tonight is Ranger Heather, who you might be familiar with if you are watching these live streams a little bit earlier in the piece. She's been on leave for the last couple of months, but she's back counting penguins, and if she's not too busy, hopefully she'll be able to radio through to Viv how many penguins are in each group as they cross the beach. So if you want to learn how many penguins cross the beach tonight, you're just going to have to tune in, same time, same place tomorrow. Now, speaking of penguins and waiting for them to cross, I thought I might have just, yep, there we go. I might have just seen a group of penguins out at sea. Now this over here is called a raft. You're looking at this kind of like dark shadow in the water, and you can see there's a little bit of thrashing around. That is a whole bunch of little penguins getting ready, making a beeline towards the shore because they are on a mission. They are on a journey home. Now, when penguins are making their way back, they're talking to each other out in the ocean because they want to have as many friends with them to cross the beach as possible. Because when they do cross that beach, that open little sandy bit, that is the scariest time of day for these little birds. They want to try and have as many friends with them as possible because there is safety in numbers. And you can see they're paddling madly, they're flapping their flippers so that they can hopefully join us on the water's edge, or they'll be very, very clear shortly. Now, the whole reason that these penguins like to cross at dark is because they do become very, very visible when it's in broad daylight. So they're nervous about any predatory birds that they're going to get they're going to surf this wave in. Yeah, they're worried about any predatory birds that might be hanging about. And there goes the wave. Dive, little penguins. They will be holding their breath and surfing the wave in. There we go. They are just absolute little pros, and they are very, very close at making their way. Now, while these little penguins are out in the ocean, they've got beautiful blue feathers on their back, which helps them camouflage against the surface of the water. But again, you're about to see very, very shortly how visible these little guys become when they wash up on the water's edge. And that is a nice sized penguin raft. So a group of penguins, there they go. You can see their little heads. And in a second, they'll all stand up. Oh, look at them all. Oh, it's a nice big number. It's always really deceptive when you see them in a raft. That's a huge first group. And because we have a fairly high tide tonight, poor Ranger Heather, it looks like there's one coming from the right. She is going to have to count very, very quickly as these penguins cross the beach tonight, because that is a nice big raft that is now turned into a group, or as we like to call them here at the Penguin Parade, a waddle of penguins. So get your guesses in for how many penguins you reckon are in this waddle, which might confuse Viv, because I did ask for some guesses as to how many penguins you thought crossed the beach last night. So Viv, do we have many guesses either for this waddle or for last night?
So for last night, we had 1,476. So 1476. I haven't got the number for this one yet. I imagine Heather's very busily counting very quickly.
She will literally be counting as we speak. Do we get many waddle watchers? Waddle watchers are our fans of the live stream. Did we get many close guesses at all?
We had quite a few close guesses, and I'm loving the range of numbers for this waddle, from as low as 100 and something to up to 500 in this group. So I wonder what we've got.
I'm going to say 225.
Ooh.
Not that I counted them properly, Viv, but that's just kind of a guess based on that sized waddle.
Well, we got the number, and sorry, Jordan, you were off by a bit. It was 142.
Oh, okay, there we go. 142. Thank you, Ranger Heather, for sending that one in. So you can see that as soon as they hit those rocks, some of them are deciding to stop and have a little bit of a rest on these rocks, but there's definitely like a kind of a current of penguins going either side of those ones that are kind of standing on the higher ground. So this is their journey home. They want to try and get across the beach as quickly as possible, but as soon as they're on land, some of them may decide to have a little bit of a rest, like these ones hanging around, preening themselves on the top, or they might hurry on back to their burrows, because there is a little bit of love in the air. I've been told, especially so if you've been watching over the last couple of nights, quite a few penguin cuddles on the live stream. Lots of mating, lots of courting action going on. So I'll be very interested to see if we see any more of that tonight. I'm sure we will, everybody. But I would say the ones that are in more of a hurry to get home, they might have their breeding partner to head home to, or maybe even a secret boyfriend or girlfriend, because these little penguins do not mate for life. They are socially monogamous. Oh, what are you running away from? What's going on here? Do we have a goose? Is it a wallaby? What could be frightening these penguins? Let's have a look. I can't see anything. Oh, it's a goose. Classic. So over here, I'm going to leave our penguins just for the moment. Oh, and there's a penguin just above me on the highway. We have a Cape Barren goose, so it's a species of goose that we have here on Phillip Island. As you can see, it's having a bit of a munch on the vegetation, so this goose here is a vegetarian, even though they can be pretty scary when they do try to charge at you when they've got eggs or they've got their little baby goslings, their little chicks. And I would say that the goose probably just flapped its wings and frightened our little penguin. So they might be a little bit tentative to make their way home. So I reckon, oh, there's two more penguins that are heading back to join that group. They might be a little bit tentative to move on from this point.
Right. You're very keen to butt in with the goose, Jordan.
Oh, yeah?
Now, as some of our Waddle Watchers have known, it is Stephen's birthday.
Oh.
And they've beaten us to it as well, wanting to not only say happy birthday, Stephen.
Happy birthday!
But we've already got a goose dad joke.
Amazing. So I guess in honor of Stephen, because it is Ranger Stephen's birthday today, if this is your first time watching, I'm going to jump over to the Penguin Highway. If this is your first time watching, then Ranger Stephen is one of the rangers who hosts live Penguin TV, and it is of course, his birthday today. So he is a king of the dad jokes. So let's have a dad joke, Viv.
All right. So there was a goose who had turned into a magician. During her magic set, what would she say? No.
Honk.
Honkus ponkus.
Oh, I was close. Honkus ponkus. Very good. We might have to get a few more dad jokes from you Waddle Watchers out there, of course, in honour of Ranger Stephen's birthday. Absolutely love it. Oh, and yep, here these penguins go waddling a little bit further up the highway. Now, before we get into too much more fun and frivolity, I just wanted to stop and acknowledge the land on which we are watching the penguins here from today. So of course we are here, Viv and I are here on Phillip Island. I'm not sure where you guys might be watching, please let us know in the comments, but we are here on Bunurong land, and the Bunurong people are the traditional custodians here on Phillip Island on Milau, and we like to pay our respects to elders past, present and emerging, and acknowledge the ways in which the Bunurong have cared for this country over so many thousands of years in a really sustainable way. So thank you very much for that. And if you know who the traditional custodians are, where you're joining us from, please feel free to pop it in the comments. We absolutely love it. Alrighty, we still do have a few more feathery friends hanging out here on the rocks, but I'm keen to maybe cast our eyes out into the ocean and see if we can find, there's one penguin right there at the water's edge. Are you feeling a little bit nervous? You can see that it's kind of really hunkered down. It's probably a little bit nervous trying to cross the beach all by its lonesome, potentially waiting for some other penguins to join it on the water's edge. Oh, where are you going? Because remember, crossing that beach at the end of the day is the scariest time of day for these little penguins. They're really, really vulnerable and visible to predation, so any predatory birds that might be flying around. So this little penguin is probably looking around for any other rafts of penguins, those groups of penguins out at sea, waiting for them to come up, or potentially even listening to them, because penguins, when they're getting ready to raft up and head home for the night, they make a sound called a huck, which sounds like so I reckon that's probably what that little penguin is doing, but it keeps getting bashed around by those waves. Can we see any more penguins washing up at the water's edge? Any rafts coming up? Any more dad jokes at the moment, Viv?
Oh, I do. So,
very good.
What is a penguin's favourite relative?
Oh, I think I know this one.
Oh, what? All right.
Antarctica.
Antarctica.
If you would like to hear some more terrible jokes, I've just spotted another raft, another group of penguins out in the water. But as it's getting a little bit darker, it is a little bit more tricky for the camera to pick it up. So I hope I'm not giving anybody seasickness or motion sickness by watching this. But if you would like to hear some more dad jokes, if you listen to our podcast Nature Unfiltered, we do have a dad jokes section, pretty much in honor of Ranger Stephen. And I think that was the joke that I brought to the penguin episode that day, Viv. So I kind of cheated on that one.
I had a bad audience, all right, I see.
So you might have to have another one or two to really stump me. But yep, we definitely have another raft on the way in, but I'm sorry, it's just not very good viewing just because it is getting nice and dark here at Phillip Island, but they will become very visible shortly once they hit that water's edge. So I might, in fact, I've just missed one. Oh my goodness, I was too busy focusing on that group, that raft out in the ocean, that a smaller one escaped our eyes. So there they go, heading on up the beach and joining their friends on the resting rocks, unless they've all kind of walked past already. Now, one of the things that we also love for you guys to do watching live Penguin TV is to let us know any questions that you guys have in the comments, because as we've said, she is checking on the questions and comments in Facebook and YouTube. So at any point throughout the evening, if you've got a burning question that you would love to have answered, please do chuck it in the comments. One thing that we do ask of all of you is that we get so many questions and comments every single night, and this stream is meant to run for about 30 to 40 minutes, and unfortunately we can't answer every single question. We do try to change up the penguin questions and the other questions night after night. So please don't be offended if we don't get to your question tonight or tomorrow night, but if you keep tuning in, keep asking that question, we will do our best to answer as many of them as we can. But in the meantime, give it a quick Google. We do have some documents on Phillip Island Nature Parks' website called Nature Notes, where you can learn all there is to know about penguins, Australian fur seals, eastern bar bandicoots, hooded plovers, and a whole range of other animals that we look after here on Phillip Island. So it's a great resource if you're wanting to do a little bit of extra reading or homework while you're waiting for the live streams to come on. So on that note, Viv, do we have a question from our audience?
We do, from Theodore, age 7.
Theodore, great name.
Yes, right. How long are penguin beaks?
How long are penguin beaks? Oh, interesting question, Theodore. So I'm going to show you kind of with my hand. They're around about this long, so about 1.5 to 2 inches, which might be, oh gosh, Viv, help me out, 5 centimeters.
Yep, 5 centimeters sounds good.
All right, 5 centimeters sounds good. Excellent. Viv agrees with me. That's what we're going to go with. And the beaks are the ways in which we determine a male from a female penguin, which is really cool. Oh, I wonder if that raft that we spotted, yes, I think has just joined our little penguins here on the resting rocks. So yeah, we use a penguin's beak to determine whether it's a male or a female, because while most penguins have a female and female, their beak is around about that long. It's actually the depth of the beak which tells us how the sex of the penguin. So a slightly thicker beak, if the width of it is over 13.3 mils, that means it's a male. If it's less than that, it's a female. But sometimes, just like humans, we get a bit of a variety in beak sizes. So sometimes a female might have a slightly more masculine beak, sometimes a male might have a slightly more feminine beak. So you can't always tell just on that figure alone, especially if the width is really, really close to 13.3 mil. But another great way that you can tell the difference between male and female penguins is the males also have a really defined hook on the end of their beak as well, to help them, defend their territory from any other rival males during the breeding season. Oh my goodness, these penguins are just piling on in. They are just not stopping tonight. We are very, very lucky. So hopefully we get another really big night of penguin numbers this evening. If you just tuned in, last night we had 1,476. Yay! I remembered. There we go. Cross the beach in 50 minutes. And you know what? If this keeps up, if these penguin numbers keep up, I think we are going to be tracking on along a very, very similar number. So because we do have some quite high penguin numbers and lots of penguins in each waddle as they come along, I'm going to jump over to the penguin highway because it looks like we've got some friends waddling up here, and this is where you get to see them really pick up the pace, and you get to see their own little individual waddles and get to see them right up nice, close and personal. Now, they're looking like they're in a slightly more hurry than the others, and I think that's because if you look kind of to the left, there's a bit of a column in our underground viewing area, and if you look just behind it, there's a goose that's that same goose is munching away on some grass there. So I think the penguins are just we got something interesting going on. They are hella keen to make their way up the Penguin Highway. Now, you might have just noticed that we did have a couple of penguins trying to go the other way. Have they got turned around? Oh no, there's still one, there's two. They are not following the other penguins, although they might if they're getting, here's another one. They might turn around if they get a little bit scared by the goose, but it looks like we have a couple of mama-to-be penguins hanging out here on the Penguin Highway. Now, these female penguins, not males, these female penguins have been in their burrows all day, staying inside their burrows where it's nice and safe and they're protected from any predatory birds flying above or any, land-dwelling predators hanging around during the day. But when the sun sets, the females are getting did you see that one, how it kind of looked like it had a bit of a look at the ground? They are heading down towards the beach to look for little bits of seashells because these little penguins are getting ready to lay some eggs. And in the last couple of days that their eggs are developing in their tummies, that is, although she might get a little bit turned around by this goose, I'm not sure. That's when the eggshell starts to form. So she's kind of got some calcium deficiencies at the moment. So she's heading down to the beach to kind of get some calcium supplements and some tiny little bits of seashells. So if you see any penguins heading back towards the beach tonight, it could potentially be because there's a big scary goose frightening them, or it could be a female penguin. If she continues to head towards the beach and it's not a penguin just getting turned around and then heading back again, it's most likely that it's a female penguin getting ready to lay some eggs, which is super exciting. And I reckon if we jump back to our main camera, we might even be able to spot them.
Do you want a shell gritter question?
I would love a shell gritter. Hang on. Let's focus on our little shell gritter. So the female penguin with eggs in her tummy that's looking for little bits of shell grit. So this is what we're talking about at the moment. Go for it.
All right. So when we're pregnant, we waddle like penguins. So does a shell gritter waddle any differently?
Does a shell gritter waddle any differently? Look, the answer is no, not really. They are a little bit bigger than what they would normally be because the egg of a little penguin is around about 55 grams. So female penguins are a little bit heavier, and I'm sure they would be able to feel something inside them. But yeah, it's not like a big pregnant belly like we have here. So she might look just kind of like a chunky female rather than like she has two eggs growing inside her. So very good question. They probably are a little bit extra waddly potentially, but it's not noticeable for us, at least with our human eyes. But yeah, here you go. She is definitely on a mission. You can see that she's looking at the ground, looking to see if there's any little tasty bits of shell that she can ingest, that she can eat. And then once she lays her eggs, she's definitely looking. Once she's laid her eggs, she actually regurgitates. She actually vomits up that extra shell grit because she doesn't need that calcium anymore, which is really, really cool. So sometimes in front of burrows, when our researchers are checking our certain study sites to check on burrow attendance and chick growth and things, if you can see a pile of seashells out the front of the burrow, you know that you're pretty confident that there's going to be some eggs in the burrow, some freshly laid eggs, because she's just regurgitated them. And there you go, she's having a little bit of a look on the beach to look for that tasty seashell. So, and we might even have another one that's on these rocks. So yeah, she's definitely looking at the ground, and while the other penguins on these rocks are kind of, preening themselves or looking towards us, that penguin is definitely looking towards the beach and at the ground. So, very exciting. We might have some more little penguin eggs in the colony over the next couple of days or the next couple of weeks. So very, very exciting. I hope that, we'll be able to get some little brown fluffy chicks when they're getting old enough to start venturing out of their burrows, because when the chicks are really little, that's when they spend most of their time in their burrows. It's a bit too big and scary and cold and dangerous to be out of their burrows when they're really little. But after about 2 to 3 weeks, that's when they may start venturing out a little bit. And Viv has just let me know that we've got around about, when I say around about.
Yeah, look, it's 3. I'm already late, so.
What? No, what rubbish. Around about 5 minutes to go is the sentence that I was trying to finish. But it's only 6:43, everybody. I could go on for another half an hour, which I'm not going to do. So, it's probably, of course, always, like every single night when I'm on, it's going to be a Jordan 5 minutes. So hang in there for, I reckon, at least another 10 minutes, yeah. I would say. Because I've only answered, is it 1 question so far? Or 2?
Oh, I've had a couple of questions and a couple of jokes.
Okay, might be time for another Stephen Dad joke. Oh, and another
right.
shell gritter.
Yes. What is a goose's favourite soup?
No idea.
Creamy asparagus.
That's really good. I would not have got that.
Yes.
Creamy asparagus.
We got her, guys.
Amazing. Great work, guys. If you can't stump me with a question, stump me with a joke. I absolutely love it.
Oh, I can stump you with a question.
Oh, okay. Let's go. Hit me up.
Why is an emperor penguin named an emperor penguin?
Because they're the king of the penguins.
Oh, pretty close. Now, I've had to Google it, let's be honest, because we're not emperor penguin experts. But when they were first seen, they were mistaken as king penguins. So king, emperor, pretty close.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's more of an educational fact. Did that penguin just poo?
Oh, Jordan.
I think that penguin just pooed. So, great fact / joke, very informative. Now, it looks like the penguins have been doing a little bit of painting recently on the Penguin Highway. Let me tell you, penguins do not paint. They only poop, and they poop a lot. And as you can see, all these little white splotches belongs to the bottoms, or the cloacas, should I say, of our little penguins. And I'm pretty sure, I could be wrong, but I'm just for everybody's benefit and mainly for my own curiosity, I think this little kind of C-shaped poo, I thought that came from that penguin that we just saw, but yes, we can tell lots of really, we've got penguins on the way. We can tell lots of really interesting things by looking at their poo. It tells us what they've been eating. Sometimes, look at you waddling up at the back really, really quickly. Stand up. What they've been eating, kind of how long they've been. Oh my goodness, look at all those poos.
I think we need some rain.
I think we might need some rain. Oh, and you can see just how beautiful and blue their navy blue feathers are of these little penguins. But maybe another shell gritter.
JD says they should walk around.
They should walk around the poo?
Yeah.
They do not care. Hygiene is obviously not on the high list of priorities for these little penguins. So, bit of poo, probably good for the immune system, don't you think?
Oh, probably. They're preening out poo, why not?
Yeah, why not? Sometimes the chicks in their burrows just get absolutely filthy with penguin poo. Sometimes the parents will accidentally poo on the chicks, or the chicks will accidentally poop on the parents or their little sibling out there. So it's just a real messy time. Hey, look what I found.
Where's Megan?
So Viv has told me that there has been some, are we getting a bit shy? There's been some special penguin cuddles, some mating going on live Penguin TV over the last couple of nights, and I think we might have seen it just a little bit too late, but I'm not sure if you noticed that those two penguins, one was kind of on top of the other, so the one on top was the male, and they've obviously just finished up with their canoodling, so maybe we will let them be. Although it looks like there's another penguin, maybe a bit of a third wheel going on. I don't know if you noticed that this penguin that's kind of looking over at the beach, it had its flippers all the way out, so it looked like it was kind of calling, trying to sound like a really impressive penguin. And Viv, you're going to have to help me here. When penguins are trying to court a female or trying to ward off any other predators, any other rivals, they make a sound like... Jordan
Jordan does it much better.
You got to roll the R's. I've had way too much practice, that's why. So we're kind of like a bit of a trill or a bray, I think the technical term is for it. So yes, I think there might have been a little bit of potentially a love triangle or a jealous lover going on just over there. Now, I was talking a little bit about penguin poo just earlier. Again, one of my favourite topics. And because I'm pretty sure we did get to see that penguin having a bit of a poop before, they do poo at one of the highest velocities of any animal in the world. So it's a bit of a Guinness World Record if you're lucky enough to see a penguin do a poo. And again, as I said, you can learn a lot about what they eat. And these little penguins...
Ooh.
Run away, where's that evil goose? Sorry, not evil goose. Again, it's a herbivore, it's not going to eat them, but it's probably just, all it probably did was flap its wings or just look at the penguins. Guys, the goose was so far away. What are you on about? Anyway, I saw there were some penguins crossing the beach just over here, and I think I'm just going to miss them as they kind of come in behind that little sand dune over there. Yes, penguins do. You can tell a lot about a penguin by what their poo is. So they eat little small fish like pilchards, anchovies, squid. We can look for squid beaks in their poo as well as sea jellies. Although you have to kind of look at their blood to look at sea jellies because they are really soft. They don't turn up in the penguin's poo. There we go. Got a nice group hanging out on the resting rocks over here. And the reason I want to talk about this, or there's a really fun thing that happened to me today, talking about birds and what they eat. At my house, literally just before I came here to start the live stream, there were two lovely kookaburras hanging out on my fence. And I was just putting some rubbish in the recycling, and it was probably only about a metre away from me. I was at the bin and it flew up to my fence and it was literally right there. So if you don't know what a kookaburra is, it's a native Australian bird, and they have a really cool... That's amazing!
Yeah, one of the ones I can do.
Oh, very good. I'm not going to attempt that. That's really good. The laughing kookaburra, they're also known as, and they're really cool animals because they can actually eat snakes. They have a really, really long, sharp, well, not really long, it's probably about this big, but it's a really thick, pointy, scary kind of looking beak. So they're really awesome looking creatures. And they were just really cool. You could see they were listening for any kind of movement of insects or worms in the ground, and they would just swoop down and just be able to hear things that we couldn't even imagine. So it was really cool that there were two little resident kookaburras that were hanging out on my fence this afternoon. And while I was able to get fairly close, or they were able to get fairly close to me, I just wanted to remind everybody that please try to avoid feeding wild animals when in the wild. They can get really, really friendly and kind of close up to you, but of course we can't give them the right food that they really need. And by feeding them different things that, seagulls, chips, or, mints to kookaburras, they can get some really nasty diseases. And Viv has the name for them.
Metabolic bone disease.
Metabolic bone disease. So it kind of bends their bones. It makes them...
Yeah, they don't get enough calcium from what they need to be eating. So their bones soften and they sort of deform.
Yeah, exactly. So it can be really, really tempting to feed wild animals because you want to get nice and close to them and you think you're doing a really good thing by feeding them. But yeah, just remember that they know how to get their own food. We want to try and avoid them being dependent on us for food because, what happens if you move? What happens if you give them the wrong food? And sometimes these animals can get quite aggressive as well if they get dependent on feeding you and you say no more to food. So that's my little take-home message for the night.
What could we do instead, though?
What could we do instead? We could admire them. We can take photos. We can try and preserve some of their habitat. We can...
Put water out for them.
Put water. Oh, very good.
Plant native trees.
Very good. So you're trying to have a wildlife-friendly garden so that you can make habitat for them and not have any kind of direct human interference. So great work, Viv. And the water one especially is quite an important thing to think about when we do have fairly hot days, especially over kind of late spring, summer and autumn. So if there's any really hot days, it's not only birds like kookaburras that can benefit from a nice cool bottle of water, tub, plate, bowl, I'm not quite
Yeah.
sure what I'm saying.
just chuck a stick in it if it's deep.
Yeah, that's a really good one. Chuck a stick or a rock or something so that if there is a teeny tiny little critter, it's not going to drown in that water, which of course you're all doing out of the goodness of your heart. So there's a little bit of a fun tangent that I went on from my kookaburras. And
as the weather warms up, something new to think about.
Exactly. And Viv also has a quick little story about birds.
Do I?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm like, I thought we were talking about your bird stories.
No, we can talk about your bird story
No,
now.
I have been going nuts in lockdown and I had a very crazy, boring day today. So I brought my camera into work, hoping to get some photos of the goose babies since I don't have goose babies near my home. But instead we got to watch a beautiful raptor flying overhead, possibly, or mine and Jordan ID skills aren't great. We're thinking maybe a swamp harrier, maybe a
Nanking kestrel, whistling kite.
We're not sure, but it was beautiful, but of course it wouldn't let me get a photo.
Yes, and because that bird was flying out during the day, while Viv and I were literally walking up to the Penguin Parade Visitor Centre today, it obviously wouldn't have been safe for any of these little guys to be out and about because a big predatory bird would love to snack on a penguin like this for breakfast, lunch or dinner. So yeah, that's why these little tackers know exactly when it is safe to come out of the water and make their way home. All right, I think we probably better start slowly, eventually wrapping up now. Might have time to go to maybe one or two more quick questions before we say goodbye for the evening. But beforehand, we do have a few penguins hanging out on the resting rocks. Let us just have a cruise out to the beach. Anyone making their way home? Oh, I can see a couple at the water's edge, but we are gonna have a much better view of them a little bit closer on land. So yes, Viv, distract me with a question so that our live stream can go on a little bit longer.
From Georgia, what do penguins feel like?
What do penguins feel like,
Yes.
Georgia? We're having a nice big stretch, these penguins. Oh, and I can, getting distracted again, Georgia. I'm very sorry. I can see another 2 shell gritters just above these 2 that are here on land looking for some little shells to nibble on. So penguins, they look kind of a little bit maybe shiny or smooth, but they actually have a bit of an oily feel. So penguins, when they head out into the ocean, they have to be able to make sure they're waterproof so that there's no water going from the ocean through their feathers onto their skin, because that can make them very, very cold, and it can also waterlog their feathers and make it really, really difficult for them to swim. So penguins actually have a little oil gland at the base of their tail, which they stimulate with their beak, and then the beak kind of gets covered in the oil and the penguin will kind of rub their beak through their feathers. Let me see if we can spot any penguins. Oh, yep, I've got a penguin preening itself over here. I might use you as a little bit of an example. So yeah, they do kind of rub this waterproof and feather conditioning oil. Oh, we're running away a little bit. Is the goose frightening you? There's one that's kind of hiding behind this little box over here. So sorry. I knew as soon as I put the camera on it, it would go away. But that's okay. So they have to run their beak through their feathers, making sure they're nice and waterproof. But of course, they can't waterproof the back of their neck or the top of their head around their eyes. They have to get a little bit of help from some other penguins, and whether that's a breeding partner, whether that's the secret boyfriend or girlfriend that I mentioned a little bit earlier, a complete random stranger or a neighbor, doesn't matter. Penguins are pretty altruistic with their preening, so they'll get others to help them out a little bit, which is pretty cool. So I think that answers the question. So when we do have to handle them, if they're sick or injured or in a place where they're not meant to be, that's how we know exactly what they feel like. So really great question. Thank you, Georgia. And how about one final question before we sign off for the night? I told you I'd be pushing it.
Question or a joke?
All right, let's finish on a joke.
All right. What is a penguin's favourite book?
Well, I know there's like the Penguin publisher.
That would be too easy though.
Okay, what is it?
Huckleberry Finn.
Huckleberry Finn.
Oh yes.
You guys are so creative. I absolutely love it. Alrighty, everybody, I think it's time for Viv and I to say goodbye. In just a second, I just realised there's one more thing that I've forgotten to mention. I know, just got to extend the stream by a little bit longer.
Who would have thought?
Shh. Of course, we can't have any visitors here at the Penguin Parade at the moment. It's not safe to do so, and we do have restrictions. But we're really looking forward to hopefully eventually. Oh look, we've got some shell gritters on the top camera. We're really looking forward.
I'm never going home.
You are never going home. Sorry, Viv. Yeah, we're really looking forward to having you back with us as soon as it is safe to do so. By coming and visiting us here at the Penguin Parade, you're helping us with our conservation education and research work because we're a non-for-profit conservation organisation. So in the meantime, if you would love to help support us in the conservation work that we do, you can donate to the Penguin Foundation. The link is in the description of this video. You can adopt a penguin, you can adopt an Eastern Bar bandicoot. Oh no, I thought I might have seen a bandicoot, but it definitely wasn't. It was a rabbit. Adopt an Australian fur seal, or just make a donation. Any little bit that you have to spare, if you would love to help support us in the work that we do, would be very, very much appreciated. A huge thank you to everybody who has donated to the Penguin Foundation in the past. We love your work. We love your commitment to supporting us. But of course, more than anything, Viv and I, and all the rangers here at the Penguin Parade want to have people back here. Talking to people is what we do. It's very strange to be talking to a webcam, to be talking to a laptop here.
So strange.
It's so strange. We're usually looking at, happy, smiling faces that are super excited about penguins, and it's great that we can see all your comments and things because you can show or tell us how excited you are. But yeah, of course, we really want to have you back here ASAP as soon as it is safe to do so. So thank you so much for tuning in and watching us here on Live Penguin TV. And I just wanted to let you know there is some things that you can do to help us with the work that we do. And another thing that we can also remember is trying to keep our wildlife wild. As tempting as it can be, please try to avoid feeding any wildlife, even though it might feel good and it might be really cute. Ultimately, it is not very good for that individual bird, lizard, mammal, whatever it may be. But we would love you to pop water out on really hot days to help out our heat-stressed wildlife. Same goes with these little penguins here. Alrighty, I think that is all I had to say tonight. Viv, come in. Oh my goodness, I've gone way over time.
Way over time.
But yeah, thanks so much for tuning in. Same time, same place tomorrow if you would like to know how many penguins crossed the beach tonight. Anything else that I've missed out on, Viv?
I think you've got it all under control. Happy birthday, Stephen, of course.
No. Happy birthday, Stephen.
Happy birthday.
Which leads us perfectly into what we're going to be doing next. Saying goodbye in penguin language, which of course is to say huck huck. So thanks again so much for tuning in, everybody. Stay sane and stay safe. We'll see you next time.